So, so much of the communications training that's available, like on the market, is focused on expression, outwardly sounding more, appearing more being more charismatic, sounding more, intelligent or funny or interesting and things like this. And the two areas I really want to help people to do exactly that, but the two areas I really think are neglected often are connection and being able to talk to new people, and especially dramatically different people in really different circumstances than you would have thought you would speak to.
Hmm.
And this inner communication, this inward understanding, this looking towards oneself and gaining insight into who you are, how you got this way, and who you want to be. And I think when you can really honor who you are and you can be that person, it's much easier to do that. And when you give yourself permission to be who you are, it's not only empowering for yourself, but I have seen it so many times where it gives life. Who says it? I think it's Jung. Of course, everything that Eric says is Jung. I have no original thoughts.
None of
I
us do.
think
I'll go back to Plato, as they
he
say.
said I think I told you that the presence of a vital person vitalizes. When someone is who they truly are, they invite everyone around them to do exactly the same.
Dude, I was writing about that this morning. I was journaling about, so with my spiritual odyssey that I'm on,
Mm-hmm.
created this guy, Dr. John Sarno, his like journaling method. One of the ways to get to your emotional core and start to understand it better is to create a list of pretty much all your childhood like traumas and anything that, yeah, it's a big list. Anything that made you like not be a kid. Um, really anything that just caused anger, sadness, grief, that all goes on there. All your modern, like your everyday stressors of everyday life. And then at the top of the list, he says, put all these traits that are pretty common amongst people with TMS, which is this mind body syndrome, which I now realize is causing my chronic back pain. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which is your brain creating real pain in your body to distract you from the emotional, uh, just the emotion in your unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And it thinks that emotion would be too disastrous for your life. So it distracts you with physical pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got this list, and the traits are all like on the surface very good. And in reality, they are good. It's conscientiousness, uh, people pleasing. So, like, you're responsible and you want to make a good impression. You want people to like you. You're disciplined. Um,
Mm-hmm.
everything that just on the surface is good, but underneath creates conflict and tension, like inside of you, because it's the conflict between the id, Freud called the id, the unconscious, which is just like the child in all of us, and then
Mm-hmm.
the ego, which is the who we are, the kind of the commander of
Mm-hmm.
the ship. And so these personality traits, I have my list, and they're also just like things that I aspire to be. So it's like a good friend. That's what I was writing about today. I want to be a good friend, but I'm like, yeah, what is that? When I start writing about any of these qualities, usually starts with something like this. So it's like, I want to be a good friend. And then, the path meanders, and I usually end up at a different revelation about halfway through. And to your point, I realized today it's like, I don't need to really do anything to be a good friend. It's not like a good friend is only a good friend because you can call them at 3 in the morning and they're going to pick up. It's like maybe they need to sleep too. Like, it doesn't make them a bad friend if they just don't pick up to your every woman call. What makes them a good friend, I realized, is shining in their own way and inspiring you to do the same. And it's not like something you actively have to do to be a good friend. Obviously, you want to try, but it's like you could be the best friend by being yourself and showing
Hmm.
your friends that they can be themselves.
Hmm.
Long-winded answer there, comment there.
The, the thing I was considering with that, what are you drinking? What are you drinking?
This is coffee.
Okay,
Yeah, I got a new
nice.
cup this week.
Shawan,
Pretty excited about it.
attaboy.
Smaller than Chuan
Well
for the
done.
coffee. Yes.
The what was coming up for me when you said that, I wrote out. Yeah, it's crazy. The I wrote out last year what my core values were,
Hmm.
and one of them was friendship. And I got very specific on what these things mean. And one of the defining factors of being a good friend, one is being there when it counts,
Hmm.
oftentimes when it's inconvenient, and that's like the 3 a.m. or whatever happened.
Right.
But one of the other factors was respect, self respect, and respect for the other person, and allowing them to be who they are, and to let myself be who I am, and letting us like ebb and flow and express ourselves in whatever way is necessary. I think it can be troublesome, or it causes conflict or tension when we hold on to someone as we know them, and that restricts them from evolving. I
Mm.
remember watching a video years and years ago, and it talked about why we get we like hold people back. So for example, you and I have known each other for years, and we go out to eat and you order a salad, and I say, "Ben, you don't even like salad." And you say, "Well, I want to try it. I haven't had it for years. Maybe I'll like it now." And I'll say, "You're not going to like it. You don't. You didn't like it for 10 years ago. You're not going to like it now." And you say, "Maybe, but maybe not." This is a experience encapsulated that expresses itself in many different forms. Oftentimes, we witness people changing before our eyes, and we resist that. We keep them from expressing and trying new things and being something else, and hold them back. You can think about like the crab bucket analogy. And the reason that this oftentimes happens is because we are afraid of being left behind. I don't want Vinny to change. I love Vinny and he's precious to me, and I am precious to him. But I don't want Vinny to change too much, because what if he grows so much that he no longer needs me? He no longer resonates with who I am and the values that we once shared. And that is terrifying. That really impinges on our value, our need to be, or to avoid being alone. That is a significant fear for humans.
Um, it's scary to, start making changes and realize that I might be alone in this because, like, if you want to grow, if you are somebody who wants to continue growing, and a lot of the times you're going to see that, the people around you, the life that you knew is something that you kind of got to leave behind. And that's scary. And it's also like very exciting. Like, I mean, that's the process I'm going through right now of like total just trying to understand kind of my past and childhood and stuff so I can finally move on to this next phase. And it's
Yeah.
saying goodbye to a lot of the things that I thought I knew about myself, or just confronting them. And sometimes
Hmm.
with friends, it's it's hard to know whether it's like, what do I have to do? Do I have to leave this person? Do I have to like try to actively make a change, or do I continue on as things are? How do you think, if you got to make one of those decisions?
I think about this idea I call the central node. So you consider yourself. You have many different interests, many different things: travel and writing and Japan and a billion things.
Hmm.
And you have some friends that can connect with a handful of those things, some friends that can connect with one of those things. You meet a stranger and you to connect on a singular thing, but you are the only person who has all of those. Nobody is ever going to have all those, because that's what makes you you.
Hmm.
And you can find different people who have more and more of those things. And I think when you actually spend time, you can find you have more in common with other people than you think. And you can see that you can connect with people and really savor the experience of having them in your life and recognize that they are this sliver. I think about the Gottmans, this institute that researches marriage, and they said that you can never make your partner your everything. You can't have one single person be everything in your life. And that could mean your job can't be everything, your pet, your child can't be everything. You have to basically diversify because you are an infinitely you're this infinite array of skills and abilities, experiences, and interests. And those interests and values and experiences over time change, and they become more or less important, and that shifts over time. And I think when it comes to friendship, we can always appreciate the thing that does bind us and know that that is less important to me now.
Mm.
Whereas I used to think, oh, because you used to be like boys and we would hang out all the time, now we don't do anything. You know what? Whatever. I'm not doing that. I'll tell you the way that this came up to me is I had a friend, my best friend, Kella. She, I had some, I can't remember it, like just a terrible, really rough time. I think it was after my mom had died, and I told Kella, and we were supposed to hang out, but she was really busy for months. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so selfish, Kelly. You're supposed to be my best friend, and you can't take, a day to do X, Y, and Z to come and see me. And I was really upset with her. And it wasn't until we spoke at length sometime later that I learned that she was pregnant and she was really dealing with a lot. Stuff was going on at home, stuff was going on with her body, stuff was going on professionally. And I realized, wow, I had no idea. And I was so selfish to think like she is just avoiding me in my most, and I was just like, life is happening to everyone right now. And I can't, it just helps me to have more understanding for myself and for other people that we don't always have time to give people exactly what they need, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's okay. We take
Mhm.
it personally often, but we're all just doing our own thing, and for the most part, people are benign. Nobody's like maliciously being like, fuck Vinny, you know what, we're not hanging out today. We're not doing this thing. It's just like we're all trying our best, and I think the more we can understand that, the kinder it is to them, but really to ourselves.
Mm. Yeah, dude. I love that. It's wild. Like sometimes if it's like weeks go by. I mean, me and you haven't. Great to see you, by the way, face to face.
Always.
Yeah, man. It's been like probably a month and a half or something. I don't even know if I'm
Mhm.
talking to you since coming to Tokyo, but it's it can be like oh, we haven't talked in a while. Like I have to call him. Like this is almost to tick something off of a list, or it's like, oh wow, like I just truly want to know what Santana's up to.
Mhm.
It's been a while, and like if you don't have time to talk right now, that's fine.
Mhm.
Realizing that, yeah, just as much as I'm immersed in my own world and there's like so much feels like it's happening right now and stuff, the exact same thing is happening with you and
Mhm.
everybody else. We
Mhm.
all are in this chasm, uh, of our own doing, of our own world. And what's
Mhm.
awesome is seeing, then you finally do connect with a friend, and it's like learning about all the stuff that has been going on or
Mhm.
not been going on, and just like, what is your world being like? And growing with the friend and being like, you don't have to be the person I
Mhm.
saw 2 months ago. It's like, who is this new
Mhm.
person? And me and you are connecting on new things now than when I met you in Japan and we were just talking about matcha and stuff. That's like a lot has changed.
Everything has changed, I think. Vinny, I was just having a conversation with my friend Megan about this last night, and yeah, just this constant evolution, constant dying, perpetual annihilation, just death, always. Everything that we experience is just cleaving, holding on, pretending that we have some semblance of control and we want things to stay as they are. And it's silly. I mean, it's human, but it's so silly, dude. None of it is the same. I imagine that, like, even if I were to come back, when I do come back to Japan, it's not going to be, I'll be different, it'll be different. Like, just none of it's going to be the same.
Hmm.
And yeah, even like, I told you about movie trailers.
Mm-mm.
I haven't watched a movie trailer in like 10 years. I wait outside the theater and tell my friends to tell me when it's safe to walk in. I
Wow.
do not like watching movie trailers. And the
When it's
reason is
safe.
because I don't, I do, I really hate them. Um, the reason is because when you watch a trailer, it sets some level of expectation. You're waiting for a scene, they show a funny part. Sometimes they give away like everything. At
Hmm.
some level, you're just waiting for that thing to happen. You can see when they're wearing certain clothes or they're in a certain room. You're like, oh, this is it. It's coming in the trailer. Consciously or unconsciously, you have an expectation. And I feel like that can really ruin the experience of film, my favorite medium of art.
Hmm.
And when you can be fully engaged, fully present to what's happening without expectation, you allow yourself to become immersed in that thing. And when you mentioned this right here, what it made me think of was what it would be like to live this way and not be anticipating the next moment.
Mm.
And I can see myself at work thinking about this anticipation, waiting. One question I always love to ask people is, if you were going to name this chapter of your life, what would it be? And the only answer somebody has given more than once, I think it's been given 4 times now, it is the in between, the thing that happens, yeah, before or whatever, the waiting. And I think of it often because if we treat life that way, we're always waiting. We're always in anticipation of that thing. We're always coming down from the high or waiting for the next one. And I'm like, dude, I just always remind myself, like, this is life. Sitting at this desk in this office, being here with you.
Hmm.
This is a miracle in itself. I mean, it's incredible that we're here. And you're going to hop off and do a bunch of stuff today, and I'm going to hop off and do stuff tonight. But for right now, this is like life. Like, yeah, life is also doing crazy stuff and having these huge accomplishments and love and heartbreak and all these different things. And that's just as important as sitting here on this call with you.
Mm. It brings up a lot, and that's beautiful points. But, dude, I was just thinking the last 2 days, and really since well, first it made me think, like, what would I call this season? And probably the spiritual odyssey. It's a little,
Mm-hmm.
it does, I mean, it is what I'm on, it's what I'm calling this. It was like, oh, should it be something new? But let's just call it that for now. New in
Mm-hmm.
a sense of like, just think of it, not predicting what I've already, called this spiritual odyssey. But since realizing that my chronic pain is coming from emotion, and since like going on that journey, that's why I'm calling it the spiritual odyssey, to learn about all that, my life has been like extraordinary. And it always is. Like the last 2 years of being in Japan and stuff is absolutely insane. It's a dream, but it's been very difficult. It's like been the most painful season of my life. And the last month, it feels like I'm crossing the threshold from childhood into adulthood, and I finally like see clearly and start creating my reality by making peace with my past. And the last like 3 weeks since I've been on this, it's just I'm in awe. Like the pain is actually getting better. So that's like that's for starters. But I'm just doing what I love. Like the last 2 days, waking up, do like an hour meditation from Joe Dispenza, which I've cried it's 3 parts, and for the first week I did just the first part. Second, I'm now in the second week. I've done like 2 days of the full thing. It's an hour, and I've cried both times. And it's like you have to make the emotion so real that you have
Mm-hmm.
to make your brain understand that like that's my reality, because the brain doesn't know the
Mm-hmm.
difference
Yeah.
between what you're actually physically living in and what you believing. So if I'm crying when I'm seeing these emotion, or I'm seeing this future and like my body pain free and just getting everything I want in life, do that enough times and it's going to become reality. And just like waking up doing that, I do the journaling. I learn, I do like the education part of learning about mind body stuff. Then I write, working on my book. Then go to the gym, go to the Cento, have dinner with a friend. That was my day like 2 days ago. I'm like, that was my perfect day. I did such meaningful stuff. I worked on something that was truly important to me. The book brings me like so much joy just working on this thing. Book about Europe, working out and like feeling free in my body again, even though the calling them brain sensations, the pain, but it's BS. They're just sensations. They're still there, but like I know what it is now, and I know there's nothing physically wrong with my body. It's not physically harming me, and I just have to, whenever the pain comes, think psychologically, like what am I stressed about right now? What am I working through? And working out, going to the Sento, cold plunge, sauna, and then dinner with a friend. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that was my perfect day. And
Yeah.
if I saw on a podcast, Modern Wisdom, recently, like realizing what your perfect day is and then trying to incorporate that into every day. And like that day and what we were talking about a couple of days ago of like the things we love don't cost anything. Like they're free. We could do them every day. We could make them our everyday. And
Mm-hmm.
what I was thinking about when you were saying being in the in between phase, it's like, yeah, you could see it as an in between phase or see it like this is a peak. And like, even if it's really hard or even if it feels like you are in this valley, it's like, make that a peak somehow. Like, what's, what can you see from this time as like transformative, or how can you see yourself growing in some way? It's like about changing our perspective, really. And what would you say is your ideal day, perfect day?
Dude, I cannot believe, Ben, that we're discussing all this because literally on my last, the hour before this, I was on my coaching call and there were two exercises. One exercise I knew we were going to come into, and it was to write the story of your life. So just start writing down significant events. You can write a paragraph, you can write the whole thing, you can write a couple words or a couple sentences. I told her it's completely up to her. And from that, we glean, I say we go experience. You wrote down the experience, you know what the experience is. And then we talk about the insight. What did you learn from that? And then from there, you glean a value. So what do you do or how do you be differently from that?
Hmm.
Because it doesn't matter if you learn something, you don't do anything with it afterwards. So we went through all these different exercises and I was like, cool, you got the idea. Now we're going to begin examining our life and just be a little more conscious about what's occurred to us and thus what happens to us daily. What insight, what wisdom is there for me in different interactions and seemingly mundane things. And yeah, this was the first exercise, and the one of the exercises I left her with was that the 24 hours fully flesh this out. What is the dream? The highest self. If you're familiar with the term in psychology, the self is like the entire being, the highest version. Different things it's called Shakti, soul, spirit. It's it's the observation is the consciousness. It's like the idealized being, the fully realized, fully all potential is extracted from this being. And I said, write that day out as detailed as you can. Don't worry too much about where you live, who the partner is. Those things will figure themselves out. What we're trying to do is get down to the feeling. What are the feelings you have? What do
Hmm.
you do? How do you spend your time? What do you listen to? What do you wear? What does it smell like? Just get as much as you possibly can. Make this thing real and feel it in your body. And know that we will align all of our actions, all of our beliefs, our words, and behaviors with laser concentration to become that person.
Mm. what would you say? Well, ask this after, but I was just thinking, like yesterday, just being in this apartment and you're talking about like feelings and what does it smell like and stuff. Being a writer, creator, I love capturing moods and writing about those feelings. That's what I think is like most interesting and what just I love to write about. I'm just sitting here like this place, I don't know how it happened. This my little apartment brings me so much joy. Like it's been 1 month and it feels like it's been lived in for like 3 years. Like just like the paints and the little things on the walls. You're I always refer people to the artwork of Santana on the wall holding the Chuan, created by Kaoru, photo taken by Kaoru, the matcha mother of Osaka. I got this whole the collage here right in front of me that I'm looking at, just like pictures of friends, of traveling, of overcoming chronic pain stuff, inspiration, like, and then just my books on the shelf. Like everything just brings me so much joy. This new coffee mug I got last week. I went into like now I just have like one cup of coffee and one for matcha, and if I want to get something, I feel like the store and the experience of buying it is almost more important than the thing itself. In a sense, like I've been passing this little, just what you say, pottery or what do you call it? It has like cups and stuff. Yeah, store like that. And like, yeah, this feels like the place. It's like in my neighborhood, old little Japanese woman working there. Didn't love anything really in there. There's a lot of like kind of dainty coffee cups and stuff. But then I saw this and I'm like, yeah, that's it. Beautiful, like just earthy green. It's got these red flowers. And she said like, Ireshi des. Just like, I'm happy that I came in here and I bought it. And it was just a beautiful little moment. And like things like that. Like when you gave me the Chawan, seeing that every day using it, which is a matcha mug, just the memories evoked, the feelings with your things is so important. And this place makes me so happy. And I was thinking, like, how do I, in 20 years, like, how will I hope I've captured this so I can look back on it. But then I'm like, I don't, it doesn't need to be captured. That's all, that's my, conflict with traveling and stuff is like experiencing or just like capturing with photos and words. But like, just, you're here right now. You're lying on the floor. You're looking at the stuff. That is all that matters. How much beauty and joy it's brought into your life. And that is something you'll carry in 20 years. And you'll remember that feeling instead of needing like a picture or something to capture it. I was going to ask, what's your ideal day look like? If you want to go down that route or take that however.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But when you were a thing, well, yeah, I want to get there, but what you said struck me. You've put words to something that has been floating in the ether of my mind for some time. And it's this drinking in of the moment and savoring each thing. And the way that I used to coach it was by working with sports teams and telling my kids that, game day is going to come, championship is going to come, playoffs are going to come, and fourth quarter is going to come, and we're going to be down, and you're going to be busting everything, and we may win or we may lose, but what you want in that moment is to be able to draw upon all the strength and skill that you've gathered from every single practice each time. You don't want to be walking into the game, the championship, and being like, oh gosh, I wish everybody's always going to want more practice or wish that they had worked harder. But when you can honestly say to yourself, you know what, I showed up to every practice and I really gave it everything, every drill, every conditioning thing, every whatever, I really did try. I gave it everything. Then you can give it your honest effort during the game, and regardless of the outcome, you are a victor because there's nothing else you could have wrung out. You completely squeezed out every little bit of juice from your own capacity. And it's like, cool, I won or I lost, it's largely irrelevant. But the real analogy here then is me thinking about death in this way and just saying, you know what? I really did drink it in while it was happening. I wasn't too concerned with making it last or actively even trying to savor it. I was just really trying to, I was just there and it happened, and I wasn't distracted by trying to take a picture or to remember it. When you are in flow and you are completely engaged in your own life, there's a total loss of consciousness. You're not even thinking about yourself or what's going on. You are feeling, you're in full feeling effect of the environment around you. And I can recall specifically different times where this has been happening. And I realize it's like a muscle. Being present is a muscle, and you can train it to be more engaged with your own life. And I think about living in Thailand and talking to my girlfriend at the time about we miss, how much I miss Costco and Whole Foods and central air conditioning. And she was telling me about the things that she had missed about the US. And we both said, dude, it was a dream for us to get to Thailand. And now we live here and are like fighting. And, this is something we had anticipated forever. And now our mind wishes that, it misses these things. And it makes you realize the trap that the mind is. It's constantly trying to ensnare you in either the past or the future. And these things are, illusory. And I'm always trying to remind myself, like, the most important thing you could ever do is whatever you're doing right now.
Mm. Dude, yeah. With this Joe Dispenza meditation and the book that I'm getting it from called You Are the Placebo. Do you know Joe
Hmm.
Dispenza?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, You Are the Placebo. And just something I'm thinking about a lot. And with the meditation, it's all about, I mean, for an hour, it's like, it's not easy to sit there for the meditation and like do it for an hour. It takes some
Hmm.
easing into it, but then in your body, I'm like just sitting on the floor cross-legged. It's it's like mind over matter, it's mind over body, and every time your mind strays, you're just corralling the horses back in. But remind
Hmm.
yourself that like when my mind goes to what I have to do later, when it goes to a memory, goes to how my body's feeling, those are all just thoughts of the known. And all possibility exists in the unknown, and the unknown is just this moment that we are in right now. And I keep reminding myself that all possibility is in this moment, and anything could happen. Like you're walking down the street, you see pretty girl, 99 times, the last 99 times you have not said anything, but this time has never been, I mean, ichigo ichie, which is the Japanese principle, one meeting, one time, which is just because something's happened 99 times, this 100th time has never happened before. It's a brand new
Yeah.
experience, and all possibility is in this moment.
Hmm.
So, what are you going to do with it? And it's not easy, but it is a beautiful practice. And, dude, just learning about the brain right now, I've never gotten this deep in it and been this interested because now that I'm seeing how it's actually affecting my body and my entire life, it's insane the neuroplasticity that you could actually train the brain like I'm right
Hmm.
now retraining my brain. And it's just so cool. Like it's it is a muscle. Every time I have the same old thoughts of fear and pain, I have to reprogram my mind, and the more that I do it, it actually starts creating less pain in the body, and you train your brain to create your reality. And last thing on that is just the no social media I'm doing right now, um, just kind of indefinitely. And dude, it's a classic debate of social media, but there's definitely, in one sense, I do love it, and it's a great way to document life and show who you are, your personality, and everything. But to not have it takes away the distraction of the moment, and just not feeling that urge to capture an experience just to post it and prove that you're having the experience. It's a gateway to presence.
Mm.
So maybe give it a shot for a week, people. See
Hmm.
how it affects you because it's a game changer.
There was something that I was talking to a friend about recently, and it had to do with social media. And two things. The first sense is uh, recognizing that anything is what we make it.
Mm.
I used to think social media was a parasite on humanity and was killing us. And at some level, I still think that that's true.
Right.
And I also know that I wouldn't be doing what I do professionally if it weren't for social media.
Hmm.
And it has allowed me to connect with so many people. And it's, yeah, just changed my life positively. So I decided I'm going to feed this part of it and ignore. I'm not really dealing with that part.
Mm.
And a big part of that is not using it. I set a timer to use it for 20 minutes a day. And some days I don't even hit that. And it's really nice because this brings it to the second part, which is the recognition that social media acts a lot like thinking in the sense that when you meditate, you are just watching the thoughts, and you notice you get ensnared on a thought and it kind of drifts and drifts and drifts and chains and chains and chains into a lot of things, predicting things about the future, or about the, reminiscing about the past. And eventually you can, in a practice of mindfulness, recognize that you're thinking and be like, oh, I'm thinking. Time for me to get back to what I'm doing here,
Yep.
whatever that thing might be. And I think that social media works the same way. You scroll and you scroll and you scroll until you realize, like, oh, I'm just scrolling. There's nothing here for me. I'm just doing this for no reason.
Hmm.
And then you can be like, oh, I can just put this thing down. And it's so easy to get caught in these infinite streams of behavior, thinking or scrolling. It could be anything. You just don't even recognize that you're doing it until you recognize that you're doing it.
Mm.
And we have to come to our own conclusions that we have to do something about it. I'm thinking about this now in terms of behavioral psychology and understanding that people change when they're ready to change. It's like they had to come to the conclusion to be like, oh yeah, this really is a waste of my life, or I am really not, this isn't an effective use of whatever. This could be a relationship or a job or a place or whatever the thing is. But they have to get to the conclusion like, oh yeah, this is pretty bad. I don't want this. Or there's something else that I want, and I will do that instead. But a lot of the time, we can just be moving unconsciously, completely unconsciously. I said that you are just being carried away by the tides of life in whatever direction it may take you. And somebody else who's being more intent on how they want the world to look will allow you, who doesn't really have a lot of say or not using their say, put you in whatever position that pleases them and helps their dream come true, helps them, their things become aligned. And there's nothing wrong with that, unless that's not what you, not, unless that's what you don't want. And once you make that decision, I think that's what people would describe as saying they're being unplugged from the matrix and
Mm.
say like, oh yeah, this ain't it. No, this is not. I was just doing it because everyone else was doing it. I was doing this because I was told that I should be doing this. And so many, Jung and Thoreau and Emerson and everyone we love says you've got to go your own way, and usually that's met with some level of disdain from other people because they want you to stay in line, whether that is because it makes them comfortable or because they don't want someone, they don't want to be challenged inwardly, they don't want to be asked to step out of the line, or it disrupts the status quo, whatever the reason may be. The more we're just going to keep getting weirder and weirder, and shit's just going to get more and more strange. And I think some people are not going to be down with that, and some people really are, but the people who are really going to be down with that.
Oh man, so many thoughts on this. Yeah, part of my book that I'm writing, question that I pose, it's a lot of questions in there, is like do we change throughout our lives, or do we just keep pulling back layer upon layer to finally get to who we truly are? Like throughout our lives, is there this core to us that's always been there? The weirdest we could possibly be is already deep inside of us, and life is just pulling back the layers to finally reach that person. And I was just telling Greg this today and yesterday, just like how grateful I am that my best friends, like five best friends, are all like what we were talking about earlier. I feel like I'm so immersed in this little world of mine and doing my thing and so consumed. Each one of my friends is on the same level doing their own thing that way. And each one is like doing something very different from the other. And it's so cool. And like, we don't have to be the same people, but like, our values and our cores that
Hmm.
similar and definitely aligned. But it's like, what's on the surface, whatever we fill our days doing and are pursuing, that's all different. And that's what makes it, the relationships interesting. And
Hmm.
dude, just growing with each other and just so grateful for that. And as we get weirder, like you're saying, that's as we become more authentic and more ourselves, that's what we'll attract. And it's not like I'm just gonna be friends with a bunch of writers. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
my friends do write, but like you do and stuff. But we're different. Clearly,
Oh,
different
yeah.
experiences, different backgrounds, different perspectives on the world, and that's what makes the friendships beautiful.
Those are the threads. Those are like the little where you're the central node on
Mm,
every aspect. And yeah, there's yeah, we all have same things in common. Like we'll
hmm
just take Japan for example. You and I both love Japan, but for very different reasons. And there's certain things that we love about Japan, but we love it from like our own lens of experience.
hmm
And yeah,
Spa World,
think
for example.
yeah, anything. Like yeah, it's just we're coming at it from such a unique vantage point, and it's like yeah. I wonder now. I'm thinking about this at like the broadest sense. Both of us have this color purple that is our favorite. Why? Why do I love the color purple? Why do you love the color purple? Like, is there some? There's got to be some deep, unconscious drive that attracts us to that thing, and it's so fucking in there that it's like abstract. Who knows if it was like formed in the womb or something like this? But I'm like, why does Vinny like it, and why do I like it? And is there a similarity? Like, and it's like, does there even need to be? We just fucking love the same color.
I mean, I was thinking, I think recently, like about you and like what we connect on. It's like feeling, and I think this is kind of the crux of this conversation in a way, and our relationship. It's like sucking the marrow out of experience and out of
Mm-hmm.
life,
Mm-hmm.
and asking why we love purple. Like I look around my room,
Yeah.
like Gengar is my favorite Pokemon character, and it's like in large part because he's purple. And it just makes me happy, like having a little plush toy, and actually getting it tattooed in in
Sick.
a month. Pretty psyched.
Sick.
Yep. Um, but like asking those questions and just like the meaning, the deeper depth of everything. Like part of me loves purple because of Mace Windu from Star Wars had the purple
Yeah.
lightsaber, and
Yeah.
he was the one person with the purple lightsaber. Everyone had like
Yeah.
red and blue and green, and I liked it because it was different, and that could be the story of my life. Like trying to be different, and part of this emotional odyssey is trying to figure out why. Why do I want to be different? But yeah, it's the sensual, the touch, the human element is what we connect on, and it's what I love so much about life, and that's why I write. I want to talk about. Do you have anything?
Oh, I was just saying. I
Sorry.
don't, I'm pretty sure I told you this, but the thing is that when we met at the party, I immediately was like, "Yeah, Vinny and I are going to be friends," and it was in the way that we were talking about something, and immediately I was like, "This dude's a writer. I fucking know it." Like I dated this woman that was a writer, and it really changed the way that I experienced the world. And it was by understanding her experience of the world and
Mm,
paying this deep intention to life and peeling back the layers, examining it, stroking it, having this very sensual relationship with life and living. And the way that you were talking about some bullshit, I was like, we're gonna be friends.
mm, dude, it's. I mean, so much of life is just absolutely blowing me away at this moment. But like the fact that we came into each other's path, it's fate. Like, how can you not believe in fate? You know, these things happen, and they happen in their own time, exactly as they're meant to. If we didn't meet that night, who knows if we would have met? But some part of fate would have still, you know, caused us to meander around a different road. Speaking of
Dude,
roads,
just what?
just taking a stupid transition. Thinking about the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Dude, what you said just about I got right here. Um, the
My
uh,
man.
yes, the refusal of the call. I'm
Yeah.
like writing a story about it, writing a newsletter about it, realizing that I've been refusing the call all these years with my back, and I kind of just wanted to talk about the hero's journey a little bit. And I actually have never read The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell. I just ordered
Dude,
it.
that's a dense read. That's a lot. How far are you? What part are you at?
Just haven't even started yet. Just got
Okay.
it.
Get ready. It's fucking ride, man.
Yeah,
You're gonna
it's
pay very close attention. Beautiful writing. He's a
yeah,
beautiful writer, and it is dense.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have dabbled around, just like found a few quotes, but I love this stuff. Like, I love Jordan Peterson's Maps of Meaning, where it just gets into the nitty gritty of like history and mythology and psychology, philosophy. It's This stuff is crazy. Like, it says how we see ourselves in the hero's journey. Like, myths and mythology, they've, fables, myths, mythology, they have been around since the beginning of time because we glean so much from them. We are inspired by them. They direct our spirit and our lives without knowing it. Like Mace Windu, it's Star Wars.
Hmm.
It's part of the hero's journey, and that's a big part of my life. With
Hmm.
in a kind of a strange, offhanded way. But we can see ourselves in the hero's journey and can make the difficulties of life that much just more navigable and understandable. And dude, yeah. So a little context: the hero's journey. The hero gets the call to adventure. Um, there's many different little segments of the journey, but split up into the departure, the initiation, and the return. In the departure, there's the call to adventure. The hero refuses the call, and then he gets divine intervention, um, some supernatural aid, and then he enters the belly of the whale, the cave, the underworld, and that's where he's initiated, or her, the hero, is initiated and go through all the trials. Think about Star Wars, Harry Potter, any myth or any modern success story, anything really. It's like follows this in some way. Then they come back to the known world with something that they've learned, something to give to the people, wisdom.
Hmm.
And I thought for the last 6 years I've been in the belly of the whale. I'm like, clearly I'm in the cave. I'm battling this thing,
Yeah.
and soon enough I'm gonna defeat the dragon. I'm gonna emerge, and I'm gonna be so much better for it.
Hmm.
You may realize, so this last month since embarking on this spiritual odyssey, that this whole time I've been refusing the call. The call was to go inward. And like I was telling you, coming to Japan, I thought was also embarking. And in a way, it is in the physical world, but it's still what I know. Like, traveling is what I know. It's what I love. I'm okay on my own. Like, I enjoy it. It's not, it's not, you know, the underworld in a sense. Maybe this quote will make it seem a little. more understandable. He says, "We have not even to risk the adventure alone. For the heroes of all time have gone before us. The labyrinth is thoroughly known. We have only to follow the thread of the hero path. Where we had
Mm.
thought to find abomination, we shall find a god. Where we had thought to slay another, we shall slay ourselves. Where we had thought to travel outward, we shall come to the center of our own existence. Where we had thought to be alone, we shall be with all the world."
Oh, we'll never do better than old Joey, man.
Joe,
We'll never do
I
better.
did. I mean, I was just flipping through the pages and I found that, and it sums up exactly what I'm
Yes.
experiencing. Where it's like I thought by going out into the world, I was embarking on the journey, but it's
Yeah.
really to the center of my own existence. That is the true
Hmm.
journey. And I've been
Dude,
refusing to take that journey inward this whole time.
the thing that calls to us, we will achieve, we will attain, but it brings with it it's such a hidden treasure that vastly exceeds the value of what we originally sought. I can see this now as I begun my own entrepreneurial journey, and it's pulling up so much about like I'm becoming who I always wanted to be, and by doing so, it's required me to excavate and resurrect and fully honor these parts of myself that I were in absolute denial that existed, whether it be consciously or unconsciously. These things came in like dreams, and we were literally sitting up one night and then writing all these traits down that I was spent my entire life building my persona to not be,
Mm.
and finally coming to a place of acceptance and saying, "Yeah, Santana, you're also that. You're all of that. You're this and you're that, and the whole thing makes you you." And in something called internal family systems, a form of therapy, they talk about
What was it
how
called?
when
Sorry.
you in internal family systems is a
Mm.
form of therapy. You take some part of some aspect of you, let's say your 16-year-old self that experienced this one thing, and you shove it in the corner and you say, "No, I exile it." Becomes an exile and say, "That's not a part of me. That didn't happen. I'm not that any longer." And this thing just encroaches and tries so hard to be seen and be cared for, like a child, literally a 16-year-old child that wants to be recognized and acknowledged and just held and be like, it's going to be all right. But you're saying, "Fuck no, that's not real. It's not there." And this thing encroaches and seeps in, and in its attempt to be seen, it feels like it poisons us. We spend so much psychic energy denying the shadow. And once you can allow that thing to come into the light, then he said the exile that was before just controlling and poisonous now becomes a sage advisor and provides you with new wisdom and insight and power to go forward into your life. And I experienced this so vividly recently, and I think I'm continuing to experience that. I would not be able to start a business and coach people online if I didn't come to terms, not only come to terms, but come to a point of acknowledgement and ultimately celebrating these aspects of myself that I was in total denial
Mm.
of. And then I'm also just thinking, like, I'm 33. If I live another 33 years, like, what other shit am I going to be excavating and resurrecting for the rest of my life?
Dude, it's unbelievable that realization. Like as I'm doing these meditations, and it's imagine the future that you want, and like you have to make it so real that your mind that you're grateful for something that hasn't happened yet. Great gratitude is the ultimate sign of receiving, and if you're grateful for what hasn't happened yet, your brain already, it's if you truly believe it, it already thinks it is happening, and that's how you bring that thing into your life. So like I'm already grateful for my healthy body and all the things that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, it's when I think about like who I want to be and what is coming, what I know is coming, it's like I have an image in my head of, well, a lot of things. I want to get to that point, but then I'm like, at the end, you kind of just like show your gratitude for it, you're thankful for it. I got a tear rolling down my face, but then it's like, and then say goodbye, and in good time, like that thing will come. You don't have to make it happen now because that is not that's not me yet. I still am on this part of the journey, and like in the future, I imagine myself to be as big as like Chris Williamson, like Modern Wisdom, just these big guys I look up to, which is a lot of pressure, which is also part of the whole mind body thing. It's like just putting pressure on myself, but this is like such an important phase of being in like the youth and not knowing and wondering if that thing will happen and building the thing and being uncertain and being in the cave and
Mm.
not yet resurrected. And so like I see it's almost like Pokemon, like did you play Pokemon?
Of course, yeah,
It's like evolution. Like you see a
yeah.
Squirtle and then like it turns into the next thing. And like I see myself, I have this this image of like me like kneeling. It's kind of like a mysterious night and like looking at the moon. And like I see myself evolve into like the next me, maybe like
Hmm.
35. And it's just like, I'm extremely fit. I got the success, everything. Then it's like you say goodbye to that thing. And it's like I devolve back into me. And it's like,
Ah.
it's pretty cool. And like that's appreciate. And this goes back to just like sitting in my room, just appreciating so much this little world I have. And it's like this is all it has to be right now. Like cherish every step to get to that person because if you don't, you'll do it unconsciously and you'll regret it. Like
Mm.
right where we are right now is a place that we could have never imagined 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Mm. My business coach, who is a fucking godsend. One thing that she talks a lot about energetics and how that's half of the journey of being a successful entrepreneur. It is strategy, but it's a lot of being and mindset and energy. And I'm grateful that she does both because I had this strategy before and it wasn't really resonating. It wasn't until I started working with the energy and the beliefs and limiting factors and insight into myself that I was able to proceed and get to the point where I'm at now. And just really, she's a brilliant woman. And one thing that she talks about is your current life. And she says, look around you. Look at the place that you live, the car that you drive, everything, your body, all this is a manifestation of your energy. Whether you consciously or unconsciously, you've been manifesting this for years, decades, your entire life, and it's gotten you to right here. And it made me really appreciate because I have incredible circumstances in my life, and I just fucking can't believe it. And then I think like, oh yeah, no, I did make this happen. I used to date out of my league and get jobs that I didn't deserve and all these different things. And then I was like, no, you did earn all of those things. Like all those people really loved you and you were qualified for those jobs. And all these things happened because you made them happen. You didn't just fall or stumble or, accidentally get picked. Like everybody, the world had options and it selected you. These people could have dated anybody, they dated you. All these different things could happen and it happened to you. None of this is on accident.
Mm. Yeah, that's it's hard to see sometimes. Like to I mean it's part of like the imposter syndrome. It's like how do I live up to this? And we play
Mm-hmm.
small because of that. But realizing that to continue growing, I guess we have to I want to say shoot out of our league or like we have to
Yeah,
push
yeah, punch
for
up, man. Reach, yeah, reach,
yeah.
reach for those, for that shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then at a certain point it's like you become you become that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's scary, but that is that is the point. The point is to get to that person that we could ultimately be, to keep trying, to keep reaching, and seeing parts of ourselves that are shed. And I mean, it's hard to conceptualize like everything that is happening. It's insane, but it's all, I do believe, for a reason. Like you're saying, it doesn't happen for by accident, you know.
Mm. Mm. Campbell, another Campbell. We're just going to be dropping all Campbell
All
today.
Campbell all day,
Just
baby.
title this. Yes. Uh, I remember The Power of Myth. He said, he's talking about these things, these visions, these fantasies. They come and visit you. And you have this urge, you encounter something or someone or an experience, and you say, oh, I would love to be a writer. And then the next thought is, oh, but I could never. Whatever came in that preceding statement is what you must do.
Mm,
This is the self, the Shakti, the soul, the spirit. This is the ego. Whatever comes up after that, this thing saying, oh, it's too scary. I could never do that. Like, oh, that's unrealistic. It would never support me. I could never do that. Yeah, that's you talking yourself out of it. And oftentimes, it's not even you, it's the voices of others, whether it be the news, media, your parents, your family, society at large,
mhm.
saying, you know what, that's a little too extreme. I think you need to calm yourself. And yeah, no, no, man. Whatever's inside is the providing the best advice, the best insight that we could ask for. We do look outwards for so many different, pieces of advice and information, and these are the things that come. This is how we learn. But some of the best teachers, some of the best coaches, some of the best gurus, a guru in this truest sense is someone who reveals to you the guru within oneself.
Mm. That's a big part of what I'm learning now is my life has been, it's still kind of hard to see myself as like just Vinny. And this goes back to what you were saying about incorporating kind of the shadow self and the things that you kind of tried to shun out before.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I'm realizing part of the reason why I think I want to travel and do my own things because I come from such a big family and a lot of pressure. And I can never really fully express myself there while feeling like comfortable of just truly being me without the pressure of like older brother and stuff of doing things a certain way. And as I'm re-engaging with the kid I was, 10, 11, 13, it's kind of a darker period of my childhood. It seems like when I think about it, I was kind of grumpy and kind of held in a lot of emotion. And I think that was the beginning of me like repressing emotion, suppressing, and it going to my body. And just re-engaging with that kid and showing him that it was okay to do exactly what I did. I know I didn't know anything else. I couldn't do anything else besides shut down at that time. And seeing that now as, I mean, what you were saying earlier inspired me to see that kid now as part as my present self and to incorporate that and just have him along on the journey with me instead of being like that's not me anymore. I wasn't,
Mm.
I don't shut things out. Like I have to be now. I have to express my emotions and to know we're on this journey together. And I love that kid, and he's part of the ride. And how to that's part of me. I did that for a reason, and I learned from it, growing with it, and it's part of the art of living. It's to truly live a courageous and beautiful and full life. So many courageous acts we're gonna have to take, and a lot of it is realizing like who am I like without
Mm-hmm.
the external influences, that super ego, make you think you have to do things because that's how it's supposed to be done. It's like, what do I what do I want?
You used a word a moment ago talking about the child self, and the word you used was incorporate, and it stood out to me because of the root and meaning of the word corpus, body, to embody, to literally take that child and put it back into your body. Let it be here and let it fully be present and expressed in your body. To embody that child is a powerful, powerful tool. Because it's one thing to think about it, but to embody is to allow yourself to completely become that thing, to incorporate and like make it part of you. Not just cognitively, not just verbally, but in every part of your being and your essence. That's power. What a great word. What a great word and
Dude,
excellent use, Vinny. Incorporate.
I I love words. In Under
That's
Saturn,
great.
I guess that's
Words are
apparent.
spells.
Yep. Under Saturn Shadow, James Hollis, um he just gets into the etymology, is it? Of just the word. It's like, wow, that's what that means, and that's where it comes from. That's really
Mm.
interesting. But dude, when you just said that, I got chills. Like, because we are that. There's I think it was a Greek parable or phrase, or it's like if a ship is um, keeps breaking down and keeps getting repaired over and over and over until it's nothing of the original ship remains. Is it the same
Yes.
ship?
Mm-hmm. You replace one plank at a time until nothing is, yeah.
Yep. Is it the same ship? Like, is that kid grew into me, and I can't believe it. I'm sure it's the same thing with you. Like, I had Grudge hair. I looked like the girl from Grudge, like black hair from my face. I was chubby. And I think that those are the reasons I'm hard on myself, is like, you look at that, it's like, oh, that wasn't me. That was me.
Bro.
And just because you're a legend now doesn't mean you weren't a legend then,
Yeah.
just because you look different.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I talk about this all the time. Like, I still see myself as being 130 pounds, when I was a freshman in high school, just being so frail and skinny and not knowing how to do anything. I'm a grown ass man and I'm pretty jacked. But I still think that I'm that kid. And I think about that often. Like, some part of us still thinks it's that. And I'm like, there's still some room for some compassion and some healing for that. And yeah. And I also thought, I wonder if I'll send this to her, Lindsay, because she, yeah, taught me to love a lot more of myself than I knew how to on my own. And this came out of her telling me about how fucking weird she was in high school. I was like, yeah, you were fucking weird. And then I was like, I would have hated you. Like, I could not stand those kids. And I kept thinking about this. And I realized that I hated them because they were fucking weird and they were cool with it. They were all about it and they didn't care. Whereas I was fucking weird, but I used all of my energy to pretend that I wasn't and to try to climb this social ladder and pretend that I was like whatever. And I guess that goal was accomplished, but at the cost of me almost in full denial of my weirdness.
Hmm.
And to meet and love Lindsay, who loved herself in such a way that she could be who she was, invited me to become whole in some level.
Man, incorporating. Imagine just what we'll be like in 40 years. And
Dude,
something you don't
it's
realize
incomprehensible.
as you get older, it's like you can't imagine it, but then you're there. I'm just inspired. My dad is 66 and he's like hitting a new stride, so that fires me up. Like, he's ripping through the pickleball league and He's peaking. Um,
That's sick. That's so sick.
it's insane. he's he's legendary status. But and he's reinventing himself too. Like in this moment, we don't stop reinventing ourselves and incorporating each stage of who we were throughout our entire lives. Like I could easily be hard on myself for not realizing this was an emotional problem, emotional pain. 6 years, like right off the bat, and just listen to my mom. She's said all along, I think this is emotional. And but no, it's gotta be physical. Like there's something wrong that I could fix. But it had to happen exactly like this because I had to be in Tokyo at this season of my life for it all to come together in the way that it is right now, which is just mind blowing. Like, and the point of that is the last 6 years, the person that I've been, that is somebody to incorporate into my modern self too. Like I was saying, kind of crossing the threshold, it feels like in a lot of ways, but so, well, Brendan Backstrom, back buddy group that I was in for a year, had him on this podcast, and he went through years of chronic pain and different things. He's like, you'll never, no matter when you're out of pain, you're killing it, thriving. You'll never be bigger G than you are right now. The fact that you are in the mud, the fact that you're hurting, but you never gave in. You're still doing your best and still trying to be a good person and stuff. You look back and you'll never be more proud of like who you are in that.
Mhm.
So, no matter the stage of life, just seeing it all as something to be incorporated, not totally shunned or something that was a necessary part of the hero's journey that we are on.
You must, I don't know what the quote is, but it's something about mud and lotus, these things being necessary for each other.
The lotus flower only grows in the mud. Something along those
Something,
lines.
something to this effect. Everything is requires this. In order for something to be, you have to experience what it is not. You cannot know what warmth is unless you were cold. You cannot know what heartbreak was unless you had felt love. You would not know, the joys of anything without having not had it before. And thus, when it is gone, you can appreciate it more. And yeah, I always think about this crazy. Can I tell you about the shaman in Colombia?
Tell me again.
Just a lot of shamans in my life. Strange occurrences. But I
Track
remember I
shamans.
met this. Yeah, I tell you about the shaman in Japan.
I think so. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
okay.
It's hard to differentiate the shamans.
There's a lot of them.
It's a lot of shamans.
Um, this one in Colombia walked into the room, never spoke a
A
word to
shaman
her.
walks into the bar.
I walk into the shaman's bar, and she looks at me and says, "You really hit a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows. You really ride your highs and lows. What you need to do is find the space in between, find the equanimity between these things." And the other thing she said was, you also need to trust yourself in your project. Believe you can do the things that you want to do. And I was like, oh shit. All right, lady, even though I've only known you for 11 seconds, that sounds like some of the most important advice I've ever gotten in my life.
That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think about it all the time. I always think the equanimity. I always think about trying to find the space between whether I'm up or whether I'm down. It's like it all passes. It
hmm
all passes. And it's just one leads into the other, up season into a down season into an up, and but there's a constant upward spiral. No
Yeah.
matter what, like what is down for me today is would have been a peak for myself, 10 years ago. It would be
Yeah.
unimaginable.
The uh, the the trend instead of the noise. Like you're trending
Yeah.
up, there's going to be ups and downs along
Mm-hmm.
the way. Yeah, man. Me too. Finding the balance, it's hard, and sometimes feel like it's like, you know what, go all in or go all out. You don't have to be. But balance is important, and that comes with experience, age, But well, my brother, I think we'll wrap it up. This has been an epic one. I love you, man.
I fucking love you, Vinny. God damn it.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. We love you.
Yes.
Woo!
And I can make one simple request to
Yes.
both Vinny and to every person listening to this podcast. It would be that you just keep being you.
Keep being you. Leave a review if you feel so inclined.
Also, this.
Yep. All right. Bye now.